I was just saying how happy I am that Reverend Victoria will be halftime. I mean,
That's
I
gonna
don't
be.
know. Is that an announcement?
It's in
All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, for this hour we here are one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our musical call to worship, Morning Has Come. This is hymn number 1000 in our teal hymnal.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope will shine upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our
That is a great way to start our morning. Good morning. My name is Liz Roberts, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm in my mid-50s. I have short, dark hair, wear glasses, and this morning I'm wearing a floral dress with a lavender sweater. My family and I have been coming to KUF since the mid-1990s. This is the place we've turned to in times of celebration and times of need. I've participated in this congregation in many capacities. Currently, I'm the facilitator of the Committee on Shared Ministry. I serve on the Children's RE Committee, and I lay lead. I find spiritual connection here, and I am truly honored to be among you on this first Sunday in April. Our guest speaker this morning is Reverend Carol McKinley. Reverend Carol is a frequent speaker here at KUF, comes to us from the Olympia UU congregation, where she is an affiliated community minister. If you're visiting this morning for the first time, we invite you to participate as you feel comfortable. If you're here in person, we look forward to welcoming you after the service during our coffee hour. If you're attending online, please introduce yourself in the chat. For those of you here in the sanctuary, it's important to remember that we regularly have 15 to 30 people attending online. Some of them beloved congregants that you know and remember, and some are new friends. So our community is much larger than those assembled here in the sanctuary. Either way, in person or online, we are so glad that you are here. I invite you to follow along in our order of service. For those of you attending virtually, the link to the order service will be dropped into the chat. If you're here in the sanctuary this morning, please silence all of your electronic devices. Our announcements are available in our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers. The Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Carol McKinley, and I use she, her pronouns, and I have white hair. Used to be gray. I think it's turning a little more white now. I have an aqua top on and a stole with many native plants here, representing those here in the Northwest. Our opening words are from the Reverend Hope Johnson. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, and being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one. Once again, good morning. It's good to be together.
We welcome Ellie Klaumenzer to come up and light our chalice this morning. Ellie is a past member of our KUUF Board of Trustees and currently the chair of our Membership and Welcoming Committee. So let us light our chalices together. If you're at home and have a chalice or candle, please light it as I read these words from the Reverend Margaret Kipe, who served this congregation at one point. As surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect, to know ourselves, to be at home, here on earth, under the stars, linked with each other. Now please join me in the spoken affirmation. The words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Our next hymn is number 1052, The Oneness of Everything. Please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing The Oneness of Everything, number 1052 in our teal hymnal.
To meet the eye, as the reaches of the mind, 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 as the re
You just sound so awesome this morning. Now, my friend Melinda Hughes, our Director of Religious Education, will share our time for all ages.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to take just one moment to acknowledge that, yes, people's phones are going off because there's a current Amber Alert. And I just want to send something out to whoever that child is and hope that they find their way home safely. Our theme this month is interdependence, and so I am going to share a story with you this morning called The Invisible Web. Some of you may have heard this by Patrice Karst. The very best news ever has begun to spread all over the world, one heart at a time. Shout it from the mountaintops. Every single one of us is connected to those we love by invisible strings. That means Giovanna and her daddy are always together, even though he moved to a new house. Omar can feel the tugs of love from his parents, even though he is living far away at school. Mr. Chang still feels Mrs. Chang close by, even though she died such a very long time ago. And you, at this very moment, may feel the string of someone close to you, even though they aren't there. You can't see it, but it's real. Our strings reach to everyone we know. They travel far and wide to families and friends, classmates and coaches, to bus drivers and babysitters, neighbors and pets, to aunts and uncles and grandparents and grandchildren and countless other people. And all those people have hundreds of strings. Soaring high over rocky peaks and across the seven seas, deep into jungles and valleys, and winding through the busiest of cities. All these strings crisscross one another and create a nest that covers the planet, interlacing us together, cradling us forever. The invisible web. The web has no borders and wraps every continent. Within it live butterflies and flowers, starfish and seahorses, lions and ants, rivers and snowstorms, and all human beings. Giovanna, Omar, Mr. Chang, and of course, you and me too. Some say it even reaches to our ancestors and those we cherish in the beyond. One tug on a string sends love to every one of us woven together in this divine tapestry. And that means just one good deed travels across the entire web. Everything is linked. But sometimes folks forget. When they can't feel their strings, they forget about our invisible web. And that's when strings get tangled up. Like when lonely Louisa isn't invited to sit with anyone at her school at lunchtime. Or when sad Stefano wishes his friend Marcos wasn't so bossy when they played. Or when Mrs. Patel struggles at work without help and she just wants to quit. Even violence and war can erupt when too many of us forget about the web. When strings are ignored, they can become weak and begin to unravel. But the more people who care for the web, the stronger it remains. The web feels like every parent since the beginning of time, holding and protecting each one of us in millions of gentle arms. What could be stronger than all those hands holding us close? So many supportive fingers can always find a way to untangle strings so that love can flow again. But it's up to every one of us to spread the word. Our time is right now. As we tell our family and friends, sisters will remind brothers, who will write to cousins, who will call their great-grandparents, who will just nod and smile as if they have always known. If we remember the web and tug at it often, Nobody will ever be left out. We will see others more clearly. The people of the world will look into each other's eyes. They will smile at one another. And when one of them cries, they will all want to help. And they do. Marcos apologizes to Stefano, who forgives his friend, and they have even more fun playing. Someone helps Mrs. Patel at work and tells her what a great job she's doing. She remembers that she's important and feels happy. And Louisa feels warm and bubbly inside when a few of the kids in class ask her to join them under the banyan tree for lunch. She knows right then that the invisible web is real. After school, Louisa cries with joy as she strokes her cat, who purrs the news to the stars, and the stars whisper the secret to the clouds, who share it with the songbirds, who serenade the world with this exquisite melody of love at the start of each morning and all during the day, until, as the invisible web glitters in the magic of twilight, the owls take over and hoot the news throughout the night. The invisible web is alive. Its time is right now. It breathes as we breathe, pulsating all over our earth, the single heartbeat of life and love. And do you know what that makes us all? One very big family. So this month's theme, interdependence. That book is a great representation of that. I pull all your strings. Please rise in body or spirit and join as we sing our children to the Matin building.
We gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. Together, our light is much brighter than a solitary flame. Now is the time in our service when we share in the sacred act of giving, an expression of gratitude transformed into generosity that breathes life into our mission. As part of our mission that inspires us to act on our beliefs, we share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of April is the South Kitsap Helpline. South Kitsap Helpline is a 501c3 nonprofit organization which has served South Kitsap children, adults, and senior citizens in need since 1980. It is their goal to help make sure that all of our neighbors who are struggling to have the food they need for themselves and their families get it. Every day, 40,000 people in Kitsap County struggle to put food on their table. By working with individuals, small businesses, grocery stores, civic groups, schools, and churches across our community, South Kitsap Helpline are working to eliminate hunger in our community. In a moment, our ushers will move among us with baskets to collect the offering. Donations that are placed directly in the basket will go to the South Kitsap Helpline. If you'd like your offering to be used for KUUF, please use one of the envelopes provided to you with your order of service. For those of you joining us online, please go to our website, kuuf.org, and select the Giving tab for PayPal and mailing information. If this is your first time at KUUF, please feel free to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is your gift. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our beloved community, which is sacred to us. Please enjoy a gift of music from our guest musician, Martin Sorensen, playing Kiwi. Thank you, Martin. Now is the time for our joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened. Rosemary Dougal shares a great joy. It says, "My joy is for my new granddaughter, Chandler Jade Meyer, born on April 4th. She's adorable." And rumor has it she'll have pictures to share with you later. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share.
Let us be together in the spirit of prayer and meditation with these words from the Reverend Sarah Lawal. Spirit of life and love, in this time of uncertainty, of fear and angst, our nation holds its collective breath. In this time when rhetoric blusters about and words are used as weapons, our nation clenches its fists, tightens its shoulders, eyes squeeze shut. Some are preparing for a fight. May we remember our shared humanity, our universal kinship, our interdependence as we unclench our fists and breathe together, breathing in love, breathing out peace. May we recognize the spark of the divine inside each one of us, even those we're not quite sure about. In this time of uncertainty, we remember the good will go on, and we work to move forward together, we the people, seeking that which unites us, with our arms reaching out wide for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. May love prevail. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen. Now let us join together, remaining seated as you are, with hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. It's in the gray hymnal. Our first reading this morning is from the Reverend Brigitte Bechtold, minister of Beacon Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Troy, Michigan. By the time you have finished your morning breakfast, you have become interdependent with half of the people in the world. You may have had coffee from Peru, with sugar from Brazil, an orange from California, tea from England and Sri Lanka, a mobile device with coltan from the Republic of Congo, a waffle baked by someone in the Netherlands, a rose from Hawaii, and so on. MLK concluded, that's the way the universe is structured. Reality is interrelated, interdependent,
and being the social reformer that he was, like Thich Nhat Hanh, MLK concluded, "We aren't going to have peace on earth until we can recognize this basic fact, the basic fact of the interdependent structure of reality."
Our second reading is from the Washington State poet, David White. This is not the age of information. This is not the age of information. Forget the news and the radio and the blurred screen. This is the time of loaves and fishes. People are hungry, and one good word is bread for 1,000. Let us pause now for a moment of reflection, followed by our post-reflection music. Thank you, Brian. Sometimes it can be difficult to get into the spirit of fully living our Unitarian Universalist value to honor the interdependent web of all existence. We ask ourselves and each other to respect that great web of life, as Melinda talked about in the story. Yet we still need to acknowledge with humility that we live in relationship with all life on this planet. Yes, at times that can be difficult, as I found out last month. Noticing an offensive odor in my house, I was sure that some creature had expired in the crawl space. Joe from the pest management company came to diagnose the problem. He emerged from under the house to report, "You have something going on under there." These are never words you want to hear. He had found a foundation vent covering had been pushed in, allowing entry of what he guessed was a medium-sized creature, possibly a possum or raccoon. He suggested it could even be a river otter, a creature known for being rather odoriferous. His suspicion was confirmed when my neighbor showed me a video captured by the Ring camera on his house, a river otter crossing the driveway near my house. Now, Joe suggested contacting a Department of Fish and Wildlife licensed wildlife trapper to make sure the animal was no longer under the house, and then he would return to securely seal the entry point. Now, I'm someone who takes great delight in observing the amazing variety of wildlife in my yard, including birds, deer, foxes, raccoons, even coyotes. I always hope all of us might share a peaceful coexistence. They live in their space, I live in mine. However, the presence of the river otter under the house challenged that hope. I scheduled an appointment with a wildlife trapper, hopefully one who would catch and release the hapless creature into a more appropriate location. The eviction process is not yet complete. In the meantime, I will attempt to recommit with whole heart to our Unitarian Universalist value of honoring that interdependent web of all existence by living, hopefully temporarily, with the river otter under the floor. Now, you may have faced similar dilemmas, balancing a need for human comfort while existing with the many creatures that share our space. My experience has been a very small but humbling reminder of my commitment to honor that relationship in my own house. News headlines from around the world give us a much broader and a more sobering perspective on how tenuous those connections can be. Every day, lead stories cover increasingly vitriolic political campaigns in this country, alarming reports of anti-Semitic and Islamophobic acts, horrific stories of suffering in wars and natural disasters around the world. We may be left feeling as if the bonds that hold us together as a human community, let alone with the web of all existence, that those bonds are completely broken. So how can we, as people of faith, respond to these heartbreaking stories and live into and act on our beliefs that we are linked together, that we are indeed one? Well, we cannot, in good conscience, ignore the suffering in the world. So perhaps the first step is to respond to the needs in our own communities by speaking out against acts of racial, religious, or ethnic prejudice, by working to more deeply understand and appreciate the myriad ways in which we differ from and yet are similar to the people around this earth we share. We can volunteer for and support the food bank, homeless programs, anti-racism and LGBTQ events, natural resources preservation. You may be helping alleviate suffering in the world by contributing to Food for the World or Doctors Without Borders. Now, we know that the roots of much suffering are fed by prejudice, intolerance, and hatred. And all of these feelings and responses are learned. They're learned behaviors. They do not come to humans naturally. Now, perhaps we learn to be intolerant in our families, our neighborhoods, our social groups, from rhetoric in the media. Sadly, some learned it in their faith communities. Prejudice, intolerance, and hatred are rooted in fear of the other, of those whose skin color differs from our own, who speak another language, practice a different religion, even eat different foods. Instead of seeing new people or an immigrant community as an opportunity to learn about other ways of being in this world, ways that can open new ways of understanding and appreciation, some see those as threats to their own way of life. And as threats, they are perceived as unequal, not welcome to exist in our same space. In order to justify their exclusion, their continued status as the other, they are depicted as not like us, as not fully human, as not possessing the qualities that justify a place in this society. They become dehumanized. Dehumanization is a complex process that responds to conflicting motives in each person. Scientists have long recognized that we humans are social creatures. We have deep natural inhibitions that stop us from harming or degrading other humans. But when that stranger is seen as unequal, as an enemy, a threat to our well-being, that stranger is demonized. They are seen as less than human, unworthy of humane treatment. In the face of a real or imagined enemy, those natural inhibitions that keep us from harming others are overcome. Dehumanization is a process that always begins with language. Facts, arguments, half-truths or lies, often conveyed through the mass media, are used to influence public opinion. In this way, propaganda manipulates other people's beliefs and attitudes, shaping a perception of a particular person or group as undesirable. Consistent propaganda campaigns can ultimately rally public support for laws and regulations that solidify exclusion. They can restrict voting rights or take away the citizenship status of naturalized citizens. Dehumanization has driven uncountable acts of violence, genocide, and war crimes. It has made and continues to make slavery, genocide, ethnic cleansing, and human trafficking possible. The philosopher Michelle Mays, who has written extensively on this very human problem, says that when dehumanization is successful, it creates what she calls moral exclusion. Groups are targeted based on their identity, as we know, gender, ideology, skin color, ethnicity, or religion, and are seen as less than, or criminal, or even evil. And these groups are no longer protected by those moral inhibitions that restrain us as human beings from harming them. They are morally excluded, and dehumanization escalates. This is the process by which political parties, communities, and countries accept, make legitimate violations against human nature, against the values of our religious traditions. Yes, dehumanization begins with language, and it is often followed by images. United States military leaders charged with clearing lands for white settlers portrayed indigenous people as savages. Slave owners considered slaves subhuman animals. During the Holocaust, Nazis depicted Jews as Untermenschen, subhuman, depicting them as disease-carrying rodents. Hutus involved in the Rwanda genocide, which is being acknowledged, its history this week. Hutus called the Tutsis cockroaches. Now, although it is difficult to believe that any one of us could deliberately exclude others from the human community, it is true that we are all vulnerable to insidious efforts to dehumanize other beings through words and images, especially through the pervasive presence of nonstop social media. And this is where we need to be reminded again and again that our moral responsibility is to honor that interdependent web and our part in it by nurturing relationships of care and respect, of mutuality and justice. It means we have a moral responsibility to recognize and stop it, and to act against moral exclusion. The writer and storyteller Brené Brown writes, "Because so many time-worn systems of power have placed certain people outside the realm of what we see as human, much of our work now is more a matter of rehumanizing. Today, we are edging closer and closer to a world where political and ideological discourse has become an exercise in dehumanization. There is a line," says Brown. "It's etched in dignity. We must never tolerate dehumanization, the primary instrument of violence that has been used in every genocide recorded through history." Brown continues, "When we engage in dehumanizing rhetoric or promote dehumanizing images, we diminish our own humanity in the process. When immigrants are called animals, as some political figures have done recently, it says nothing at all about the people being attacked. It does say, however, volumes about who we are and our integrity. To live with integrity, we must challenge such language and all attempts to make any group of people less than human. In this season sacred to so many people of faith, we must continue as Unitarian Universalists, as human beings, to affirm our commitment to that great web of life, to care and respect, to mutuality and justice. And that's a big, ongoing responsibility to our fellow human beings, to live on this earth and to all life on this earth, even to those river otters resting in our crawl spaces. The Sufi mystic Rumi wrote, "I speak of plural souls in name only. One soul becomes 100 in their frames, just as God's single sun in heaven shines on earth and lights 100 walls. But all these beams of light return to one if you remove the walls that block the sun. The walls of houses do not stand forever, and believers then will be as one soul. My colleague, the Reverend Summer Albayati, reflected on Rumi's words with these words of her own. She says, we respond to the call to remove the walls that block the beams of light from becoming one, so that we see the reflection of one another in each soul's eyes, and then know that we are interconnected, interdependent, that what harms you also harms me, that what makes you happy makes me happy too. That is practicing being one, unity, interdependence. Earlier, we heard those words from David White. This is the time of loaves and fishes. People are hungry, and one good word is bread for 1,000. As we leave this sanctuary and move into the week, let each one of us offer that one good word. Amen, and so may it be. I invite you to stand as you are willing and able for our closing hymn, number 1064, Blue Boat Home. And the words will appear on the screen as well.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, are we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens and our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is our blue boat home.
You may be seated for just a moment. I have a couple of announcements. Today, there's going to be a new to KUUF conversation. It will be held right after the service in the minister's study, which is across the breezeway in the administration building. It'll start about 11:45. You're welcome to bring your coffee with you and your questions about the Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship or Unitarian Universalism in general. And please join us for this informal conversation. Announcement number 2. Members of the KUUF Board of Trustees will be here in the sanctuary right after our service to answer questions you may have about the proposed 2024-2025 KUUF annual budget. This is in preparation for announcement number 3. Next Sunday is KUUF's annual congregational meeting. That's why you need to know about the budget. It will be held next Sunday right after the service in the sanctuary. Please bring your interest, your participation, and your questions. And after the service today, please exit through the foyer where coffee and tea will be served. Of course, you're welcome to bring your beverage back in here or step outside. There's blue sky. Anyway, and now Reverend Carol will give us our closing words and chalice extinguishing.
As we extinguish our chalice and bring this time together to a close, I use these words from the Reverend Dr. Peter Rabel. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know, and this is as it should be. Together, we are more than any one person could be. Together, we can build across the generations. Together, we can renew our hope and faith in the life that is yet to unfold. Together, we can heed the call to a ministry of care and justice. We are ever bound in community. Amen, and so may it be.